I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. At Tuesday's Senate Appropriations Committee hearing, Senator Jerry Moran questioned Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin about hypersonic missiles. The senator asked Secretary Austin how the U.S. Armed Forces would protect against these weapons. Secretary Austin admitted, quote, "We have a ways to go." Listen to the full exchange here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you both for your service to our nation. In your written testimony, you both mentioned that our adversaries are rapidly developing hypersonic missiles. As hypersonics become more commonplace, it seems we can't rely upon nuclear deterrence alone to prevent hypersonic attacks. Once hypersonic interceptors are developed, how do we plan on deploying these defensive capabilities around the globe to make certain that our deployed troops are sufficiently protected from attack? And what shifts do you expect to see in missile and interceptor investment in future years, the U.S. company as U.S. Competes with China?
Well, hypersonics is important to us, and in this budget, I think you've seen, Senator, that we're investing some $7.2 billion in long-range fires. $4.7 billion of that is focused on hypersonics. And so we continue to develop capability for ourselves, but what's important is that we need to consider the range of capabilities, the mix of capabilities that we're going to bring on board to support our warfighting concepts. So hypersonics is an important capability, but there are other things that add to this equation as well. In terms of defending ourselves, this is a priority for me, and as soon as we came on board, I tasked my staff to make sure that we pull the right elements together to make sure that we were pressing forward rapidly to increase our efforts in developing our defenses against the hypersonic threat. You've seen us engage industry on this issue, and we'll continue to press. But we've made some progress, but we have a ways to go yet.
What concerns do you have about the hypersonics weapons workforce? What do we need to do to be training and preparing ourselves? What kind of investment in our workforce is necessary?
In our
private sector workforce.
Well, certainly, we've engaged we've engaged industry and asked them to pick up the pace. And in terms of what they need specifically in their workforce elements, that's something that we haven't discussed. But again, I think the issue to this point has been, we've not pushed to the degree that we can push, and we've not invested to the degree that we can invest. And so we invested in this last year, we invested in it this year, and we're going to continue to press.
Thank you. Let me shift natures of my question. I had the opportunity to review and sit down with staff from the Inspector General's office to discuss their November 21 report evaluating the department's implementation of suicide prevention resources for transitioning members. We know from our work on the Veterans Committee that the most vulnerable time for many members of our military they are leaving active duty and becoming veterans. That Inspector General's report demonstrates a lack of compliance with Executive Order 13822 regarding mental health screenings and the warm handoff to mental health care for transitioning service members. It continues to be troubling to me that this does not seem to receive the attention that it deserves within our military community. Can you share with me, either one of you, what progress the department is making in implementing the Inspector General's recommendations from that November 21 report?
What I can tell you, Senator, is that, and you've heard me say this a number of times, that this is important to me, this is important to our department, and this is why we've invested in suicide prevention, in mental health, in a major way this year. We've invested in it last year as well. But this year, we're investing $1.4 billion in mental health efforts. We continue to liaise and engage with our counterparts in the VA to ensure that we can close, as much as possible, close the gap as troops transition from active duty to leaving the service or going in any direction. So I've also stood up an independent review committee to address this issue and give us further insights in mental health issues and also prevention of suicide. And so we're investing in this in a major way.
I intended to pursue this further in NDAA, and I look forward to your cooperation as we figure out what language instructions might be valuable to the department to see that gap that you just described is closed. Thank you.
Before I get to Senator Durbin, I just want to add to Senator Moran's question on the transition. We have work to do, and I know you guys aren't necessarily in the position to deal with pushing people out. You want to keep them in, but it is apparent that this is a pretty massive problem, and it's both active military and VA. So I want to thank Senator Moran for that line of question.